Hi, Data Ben here. Today we're going to cover an introduction to VBA. So VBA is a scripting or programming language which underpins Microsoft applications, including Excel, and you can use it to automate regular activities that you do in Excel, all the way up to programming entire scripts and even creating mini applications in Excel. So it's a really powerful language and it's very much worth using if you're wanting to become the office ninja on Excel. So what I'm going to cover in this course is what the windows are in Excel and what they do and the user interface, because this will familiarize yourself with where all of the icons are and getting comfortable with using the interface of VBA as a regular activity. So first of all, to access the VBA screen on PC, you want to press the shortcut Alt and F11, and on Mac you want to choose the function Alt F11 key, which is what I'll do here, and this will open up the VBA window. So don't be too concerned about the number of options that come up here. You'll learn these over the course of time, and you don't need to know all of them to begin with. So we'll cover the window panes to start with. So you'll see here on the left hand side you have the project window. This is a visual representation of your workbook. So you have we have the intro to VBA workbook here, the workbook name, and then you have the names of the sheets too. So the first sheet here is called VBA 1, and you'll also see it's also called sheet 1. So each worksheet has a real name, in which case it's sheet 1 here, and a displayed name, which is the one that you can see on the tab itself, which is VBA 1. And then you also have an option called this workbook, which is essentially a hidden worksheet which represents the workbook. We won't cover that in this lesson, but this will appear on all of your workbooks when you open VBA. The next screen is the properties window, and this shows properties of the worksheet that you're in. So you can see here we have sheet 1, the real name sheet 1 here, and if we scroll down we can see lots of other options such as the real name of the worksheet, whether page breaks are on, auto filters, whether the calculations are turned off and on, whether the pivot tables are enabled, and even the visibility of the sheet. So this is just a number of settings which you can also access from the front end of Excel too, but you can access a number of the powerful options in the window pane on the left hand side here. I recommend that you try and change these from false to true and back again, and change some of the settings to see what they do to the worksheet itself on the front end. So let's actually open up a VBA sheet for sheet 1 by double clicking on the worksheet. When you open this, it will come up blank. I've already written in this workbook some initial VBA code for this lesson, but when you open it, it will show blank. So double click on that to show the blank window, and this is where all your VBA text will go that's associated with this worksheet. The next thing to do is actually to manage your workspace a little bit more, is to add some additional windows that do not open up by default when you first start VBA. So you only need to do this once, as the settings will be remembered for the rest of your sessions. So if you click on View, the first one we want is called the immediate window, and then click View again. The second one you want is called the Locales window, and if you click View again, and the final one you want is called the Watch window. So you have a number of new windows here, and it can get a little cluttered, but they are very useful to have open. So the immediate window, this is where you can actually activate some VBA code as soon as you write it. So there is a command in VBA called message box, which creates a pop-up box with a message in it whenever you want, and you can of course write this into your VBA code. But if you wanted to, for some reason, show this box straight away, I'm going to type message box, MSG box, and just type a message. So open quotes and close quotes, and then just press return. And what the immediate window does is it runs this code immediately. So that's why it's called the immediate window. And if I press return there, you'll see that's the first bit of run VBA code. It's immediately popped up with a box, hello world. You can try this yourself. Press OK to close this box, and then you can even leave the code in the immediate window there. It won't run again until you press return on the same line, or I'm just going to delete out this code. So that's the immediate window to change settings or to run immediate any settings or changes into Excel immediately. This is very useful for turning calculations on and off when you really start getting into VBA. The next window is called the Locales window, and what this will do is track your variables as you run through your VBA code. Now I'll cover variables in a moment. The watch window actually does the same thing, so you don't always have to have the watch window open each time, but it's very useful if you want to analyze a very specific variable and just check that one as your code is running. Okay, so that's all of the main windows. You'll see there's lots of buttons and options on the toolbar here. We'll cover these as we encounter them as we go along. So first of all, I'll explain what the code is appearing here. So a sub is a subroutine, which is the start. It tells Excel that this is the start of some code, and I've called this subroutine hello world. And when you end a code, you end it with end sub. So this is the start line, sub, and then the description of your code, and end sub to end. The next line is the declaration of any variables, so the next two lines. So dim essentially means declare, so you're declaring this variable name, hello text, and you can give it a type of a data type as well. So in this case it's a string, but it could be an integer or one of a number of data types that will be covered in one of the next lessons. We'll keep this as a string, and the next two lines assign a value to these variables. So the hello text is given hello, and the world text is given world. And these two items reside in memory. They don't yet appear on the worksheet. The next three lines is where we actually alter the worksheet itself. So this VBA1 worksheet we're in. We ask for the cell A3. So if you scroll back to your worksheet, you can do this by Alt and Tab on PC, or using 4 fingers to go to swipe left on your trackpad on Mac. And you can see that everything has a cell reference. So cell reference A3 is here, B3 is here, and C3 is here. So if you go back to VBA, what you're saying here is you want the value to be what the value is in the hello text variable. B3, you actually just type in the answer, the text that you want. And C3, you're saying that you want whatever text is in the world text variable to appear in the result. So that's a very simple piece of code, and next we want to run it to see what happens. So you can run code by pressing F5 on your keyboard, or on Mac, Function, Alt and F5. But before we do this, you can add something to the windows, to the window called a breakpoint. So we don't actually want to run this code all the way through to begin with. We would like to go through it line by line. So next to hello text here, if you click, a red dot will appear, and this tells VBA to stop running the code and pause. So let's now run the code. So Function, Alt and F5 on Mac and F5 on PC. Or you can also use the run button on the toolbar, which is this blue button. And this will show the hello text highlighted. So this code is now actually running. And you can see here on the locals window on the bottom right, it's tracking the actual variable names, and nothing is currently in them. So you can press F8 to move to the next line, or function Alt and I on Mac, or you can use the step into shortcut. You can use the step into shortcut button, which is this one here with the lines, and it will move on to the next line. And you can see here, hello text in the bottom right hand corner has now been filled with the word hello. And if you click again, you can see the world text has been filled in with the word world. So these two variables are now filled with the data that you've given it. Next, we're going to alter the actual values of the worksheets. So nothing currently shows in the worksheet, but now if I click on the next line now, we see hello has appeared, and continue again all the way to the bottom until the subroutine ends, and you'll see there that hello to all the world has been printed. And we've taken off the breakpoint now, so now if we just delete out this text and run the code fully without stopping. So if we just press play, and that's it. Hello to all the world instantly. There's no confirmation message that the code has run or anything like that. If the code is very fast, it will be instantaneous. The final thing to mention is the watch window. This is very similar to the locals window, but you can target a specific variable that you want to see. So if we choose world text and right click, and then there'll be an option to add watch, and you can just press OK to the default values here, and it will now track this value in this pop-up window here. So this is useful if you really want to focus on a specific variable as the code is running, especially if the code is complex and is maybe doing some mathematical changes. You might want to really keep a close eye on it. So let's insert a breakpoint again, and then run the code. And then you'll see that the world text is currently blank. And if we now do next line, and there we go, it's filled in. So as you can see, it's very similar to the locals window, apart from often you may not want to see all of the many different variables running. You might just want to really zoom in and specifically look at with those spectacle icons there, showing that you're really looking at this variable, and track it as it's going along. And now we'll just run the rest of the code as well. As a final to this, maybe we can use the message box to actually do a final pop-up message. So let's do message box 2 + 2 equals, and then close the quotes, and then the ampersand, which will connect the next statement with the first statement, and then we'll actually do 2 + 2. Now let's run this code, and there we can see that we have our message 2 + 2 equals, and then we've actually done the calculation in Excel to do 2 + 2, and it's given us the result as 4. So this is the introduction to VBA, and so what we've covered here is all of the user interface windows. There are more elements and more menu options to cover in later lessons, but if you can master the project window, the properties window, the immediate window, the locals window, and the watch window, you'll be well on your way to VBA mastery.